Hello, and today we'll continue with Leigh's route. Lily gave us the go-ahead to come over to her house and send directions to my phone. Leigh offered to lead me since he knew the way, but I refused. I wanted to know the way in case I had to come back here alone. I didn't need to be getting lost by myself somewhere I didn't know. Central Everwinter is a pretty safe place to be, mostly due to all the college students and infrastructure built to support them, but I still rather avoid wandering aimlessly around. It didn't take us too long, though. Lily is a little further away from campus than I expected, but I suppose it makes sense. This is her parents' home, not somewhere that's saying, not somewhere that she.
Very much for spending some of your morning with us. Appreciate it. Very, very much. We are going to have a visit with our friend Buddy Delaney. He's joining us in about 15 minutes, about 10, 13, 14, 12, any time of that. He'll be here after the 8:30 news. How's that? Can't do my math, but about 8:30.
It didn't take us too long, though. Lily is a little further away from campus than I expected, but I suppose it makes sense. This is her parents' home, not somewhere that she's staying for college. Staying. My parents' house is even further away than this. Mine's on sometimes. It's computer. My parents' house is even further away than this. I did almost miss a turn once because I got distracted talking to Leigh about some of the other oh boy. It didn't take us too long, though. Lily is a little further away from campus than I expected, but I suppose it makes sense. It's her parents' home, not somewhere that she's staying for college. My parents' house is even further away than this. I did almost miss a turn once because I got distracted talking to Leigh about some of the songs I was showing him last night. But we finally make it to her house before the sun fully sets. Thankfully, all the buildings in this area aren't too fancy, but the neighbor is quiet and looks pretty safe. Something you'd see from a middle-class family that are doing well enough for themselves. Lily's house is around the same, just a single-story house with a small front yard. There doesn't look to be any garage, and there's no car parked in the driveway. It doesn't look like Lily's father is home yet. I don't think her dad's home yet. He must work really late. Makes sense. Needs to provide for his daughter in college as a single parent. Trust me, it's way more expensive than it seems. I already thought it sounded pretty expensive, though it's even more expensive. That's kind of terrifying. You have no idea. Sounds like he's got a pretty stable job or a lot of savings if he can afford a place like this. Is your house anything like this? Kinda. We were pretty close to the beach, and my house was a bit bigger than this. We had 2 stories and an attic, but it wasn't anywhere near as wide as this. Lily's home looks like it could easily have a garage attached onto the side of it, but the lack of large door doesn't make that seem likely. Mom and Dad's place is tall, but it isn't very wide. It wouldn't be surprised if this house had more rooms than theirs, despite only being one floor. We sitting way outside. It's pretty suspicious to be loitering around someone's house in a place like this, especially when you look like me. Leigh shrugs his leather jacket for emphasis. He tries to look nonchalant, but there's no hiding those twinges of red on the inside of his ears. I guess we should just knock. You wanted to lead. Go ahead. I guess that's coming back to bite me. It's a door. You'll be fine. We walk up to the door, and I'm barely able to get 2 knocks out before I can hear Lily rushing to get the door, all but whipping it off the hinges in her excitement. Come in, come in. I was wondering when the two of you would get here. I was getting worried. It's nearly 7. My house isn't even that far. Sorry, I ended up getting distracted talking to Charlie. I think this I think this is on everyone for talking so much during our little meeting. We kind of wasted a lot of time. Now come in already. You're letting all the warm air out. Hurried along by Lily's rushing to keep her door closed, we enter what looks to be a very wide room that looks to encompass a living room, a dining room, and a kitchen. Each area is sectioned off by a step or a change in flooring, but it's still all one room. We're currently standing in a large area that would likely be the dining room due to the large table in the center. Next to it is the kitchen, sectioned off by a bench, and further down the house is a small step down into the living room where a large TV and 3 different leather sofas are waiting. No wonder your house is so wide. This room is huge. Dan likes an open floor plan, plus he's obsessed with him wanting to renovate the place. He hasn't done it yet, but he keeps saying he will. Where is he? Dan? He's coming home from work still. He's picking up some pizza for us. So he'll be a little later than normal. I told him it wasn't truly a sleepover, but he still insisted. That's nice. Where is he? Dan, he's coming home from work still. He's picking us up some pizza for us, so he'll be a little later than normal. I told him it wasn't truly a sleepover, but he still insisted. That's nice of him. I think he's just excited to have some more noise in the house. Ma lived to sing and mess around with flowers, so there used to be a lot of noise. He even turned our garage into a greenhouse. That explains the extension. That explains it. That explains the extension on the side. He took out the door too. We didn't need it. It was pretty ugly. Mom said it would upset her flowers if they had to look at it all day. I can't imagine having a greenhouse in your home. I think I made a mistake. It really isn't special. There's only like a few flowers in there. I told you he hasn't done any serious renovations. Part of it already had a see-through ceiling, so they just changed that area to being a makeshift greenhouse and removed the door. It's not a big garage, so the rest of it is just used for storage. Like I said, he really wants to renovate. He said he'll change the whole thing into a real greenhouse one day. I don't know if that's really impossible, or if that's really possible, but I'm not gonna stop him. I think it'll be great. Like I said, he really wants to renovate. He said he'll change the whole thing into a real. Like I said, he really wants to change. Like I said, he really wants to renovate. He said he'll change the whole thing into a real greenhouse one day. I don't know if that's really possible, but I'm not gonna stop him. I think it'll be great. I support him either way. So I rambled there. Let me show you around and where you'll be staying. Really quickly shows us the rest of the house, mostly just to where The three bedrooms were located alongside the bathroom. There's a secondary toilet near there's a secondary toilet nearby that's only for guests that we can use frequently. Lily quickly shows us the rest of the house, mostly just to where the three bedrooms were located alongside the bathroom. There's a secondary toilet nearby that's only for guests that we can use freely. But the tour barely lasts a minute before she shows us the guest bedroom, refraining from showing us either her or her father's rooms. The guest room has the same beige wallpaper as the rest of the house, something that should be pretty bland, and I'm grateful for something so warm and inviting. The room itself is pretty empty, looking like a larger version of Charlie's room. There's a single queen-size bed with a small dresser on the left and nightstand on the other side with a lamp on it. I didn't expect there to be more than that, but it's more than enough. Leigh looks really impressed with this place, but it makes sense. He hasn't had a room to himself since he used to live with his dad. I'll let you two settle in. Dad will likely be a bit. Dad will likely be in a bed. He's currently working on the other side of town and loves to get it from this authentic Italian place, so it'll take him a bit. He probably got 30, maybe 40 minutes. Get comfy, and I'm gonna go give a certain possum a call. Dad catches Lee's attention, but she's always around the corner and down the hall before he could even hope of getting a word out, though he doesn't look that interested in trying. With a simple shrug, we start packing things away into the dresser. Normally, I just leave my clothes inside my bag whenever I go on a trip, but Leigh was pretty adamant about keeping things tidy. I thought it might take us a while, but we were done before 5 minutes even passed. I guess he has a point about just doing it. Before long, I'm just lying on the bed watching as Leigh appreciates the room. It looks significantly nicer than either of our apartment buildings. I think it's as big as my entire apartment, which isn't a lot, but it had 2 beds. It's a nice room, right? Ain't had a room this nice in a long time. Orphanage was nice, but hard to appreciate when you share it with so many other kids. Do you think it'll help? I think so, and if it doesn't, I have the 2 of you nearby. If my nightmares somehow come to life, I have a feeling Lily and her dad would beat them up. I'm more worried about the monsters we can see, Wallace. He sits next to me on the bed, his hand placed on my arm as he stares down at me with a mixture of affection and a bit of worry. It makes my heart sing a little while also swelling it up. It's a strange feeling. I'm cut off by the sound of a loud slam echoing through the house. It's loud enough that Lee's instantly on his feet with his fur bristled and his lips curled up. The sound reverberates throughout the house and unnatural enough, causing a familiar sickly feeling in my chest that I can't quite place, but everything feels wrong all of a sudden. After it ends, neither of us move as we listen to the silence, a silence that shouldn't exist. Did Lily somehow not hear that? There's no way even headphones with music without block that out. I jump off the bed and head to the door. Leigh reaches out to stop me, but I slip around his hand. I really need to check on Lily to make sure she's okay. Wallace. Leigh hisses at me and twists after me, but I ignore him, quickly rushing through the door before he can stop me. If she needs my help, I can't leave her behind. I know Leigh will be following behind me. Except it isn't the hallway on the other side of the door. It's something much, much worse. A scene that I've seen too many times by now appears in front of me, and I don't hesitate to retrace my steps, hoping to get back through the door I came while I still can, hoping that maybe I can slip back out of this nightmare. But I bump into something along the way, softer than a door, and with a scent that's both comforting and terrifying at the same time. Lee's claws tighten on my shoulders as I realize I'm not alone this time, and that somehow terrifies me even more. I've always been alone in these strange dreams, with the singular exception of a hospital visit. That one was easily the most scary. Not because things were any worse than the others, though they definitely were, but because the others could have gotten hurt. And now Lee's here too. Even if it's just a dream, I don't know what would happen if we got seriously hurt or worse. No matter what the others say, this isn't a normal dream. I expected Leigh to have said something by now, but he still. I expected Leigh to have said something by now, but he's completely silent. He looked rattled by. I expected Leigh. I expected Leigh to have said something by now, but he's completely silent. He looks rattled, but nowhere near as shocked as someone in our situation should be. If anything, he looks to already be trying to find something. I would have assumed the exit, but his eyes keep looking over the walls and furniture. Wallace. Huh? Is this a dream you've been having? Yeah. He doesn't say anything before grabbing my hand and turning around, dragging me with him as he tries to go back the way we came. Except we can't. The way we came doesn't lead back to Lily's guest room. It doesn't lead anywhere. All we can see is a very familiar looking locked room, blocking our way out of this awful place. Leigh doesn't hesitate, though, in grabbing the door with a sense of urgency that starts to make my heart race. Even when we were stuck in the hospital, we didn't look anywhere near this anxious. But no matter how much he pushes and pulls, he can't get the door to budge. Despite how worn it looks, he can barely get it to rattle. Shit. After nearly a full minute of trying, he finally pulls away, though he looks significantly more disheveled. He's panting, his hair is matted down with sweat, and I can see a drop of it fall off the tip of his nose. He's massaging the inside of his palms, which look irritated to the point of being red. Are you okay? This is nothing. Just couldn't get this fucking door open. It wouldn't open the last time either. Sounds about right. How did you get out last time, assuming this is a dream? You don't think this is? Stay on top of Wallace. We can talk about that later. Right, sorry. I try my hardest to not wince at his reprimand, but I never heard Leigh scold me in that harsh of a tone. He catches though, and I can see all his features slump from his ears to his tail. Sorry, kid, sorry, Wallace. I'm a little on edge. It's okay, I understand. This place is terrifying, and I want to get out of here as soon as possible, too. I know, I should be the one staying calm in the situation. Just give me a second. He closes his eyes and inhales a huge breath, his shirt clinging to his chest as he takes it off. His shirt clinging to his chest as he takes it for several seconds before exhaling in an almost growl-like manner. It doesn't look like he's done yet as he reaches up to grab his choker with his hand, squeezing it even harder than he did the last time, his hand nearly shaking with how tight he's gripping it. I almost consider stopping him before one of the spikes punctures him, but he pulls away, his composure returns back to his collected self. Okay, what do you remember about this place? What happened in your dream? If I'm being honest, it's hard to remember, and can't remember anything about the first dream other than some very bad feelings. And the second, I just explored that room over there. I pointed to a very familiar door that I had no interest in investigating again. The page I found was in there, but nothing else. What about the windows, bedrooms? Have those, right? Huh? I mean, I think they were boarded up. I don't remember any. I don't remember seeing any way out. I start to feel a sinking feeling in my chest, and I'm not able to place why. Something just doesn't feel right. Well, it'll be best to avoid upstairs. I doubt we'll find anything up there. Let's see if there's a back door. Leigh storms off towards a back area of the house that I'm certain I didn't explore in either dream. There's an unfamiliarity with it that makes my stomach sink. I don't want to be here at all, but the thought of exploring it makes me feel even worse. Everything feels different this time. I don't have that sensation of knowing this place anymore. Outside of what I personally experienced, at least, there's no external influence. It's not just a missing, lingering influence either. Everything feels slightly different. The world itself looks clearer, less like a dream than before. That doesn't do anything to make the pit in my stomach go away. If anything, it makes it grow larger. Leigh must have noticed that I haven't been following him along because he stopped to watch me with concern. He doesn't pressure me to move, but I can see from how tense he is that he wants to. Swallowing my fear, I start following behind him, but he doesn't move, not even when I'm right behind him. You okay? Yeah, I'm okay. This place just gives me the creeps. Me too, kid. Me too. Try to stay with me. We don't know what's going to happen this time. You think something's going to happen? I'm not taking any chances. The last time something like this happened, the whole building tried to cave in on us. I don't want to tell him about that happened last time. I can't even explain it, but it wouldn't do anything but make him more adamant. He takes my silence as agreement and starts moving ahead. We're fully past the stairs and we're officially in uncharted territory. There's still photos everywhere, and most of them are still indecipherable, except this time there's a few that are different than the rest. Some of them are turned around, hiding whatever photo is placed in the frame. I look around to see if there's more, but now that I'm searching for them, I notice they're everywhere, hidden amongst all the regular photos. Letting my curiosity get the better of me, I reach out to turn one over, but before I can, a hand suddenly grabs my own. A scream nearly tears its way through my throat, but he's ready for that and places his other hand on my mouth. Heat rushes to my face as I muff out an apology. After taking a moment to make sure I've calmed down, he pulls himself away from me, putting an awkward amount of distance between us. Shit, I didn't hurt you, right? What? Oh no, you're good. You just nearly gave me a heart attack, so I just think we shouldn't touch anything. God knows what would happen if we fuck around with stuff in here. A tiny part of me wants to argue that we should try to investigate to figure out why this is happening, but it's hard to ignore that he might be right. Last time I was here, and when we were in the hospital, as soon as I messed around with stuff, everything suddenly went crazy. You're right. I shouldn't be messing around. If we find a way out, maybe we can take a quick look, but not until then, okay? We need to keep our priorities straight. Do we even know what we're looking for? Whatever an exit looks like, it was a door last time, right? At the hospital. Yeah, Lily noticed something about it that looked off. She was certain there was something different about it. Keep an eye out then. The back door is still a good start. You okay with that? Yeah, just lead the way. He nods and continues walking up to an open door leading to another room that I can't see. He goes through it and it disappears around a corner, leaving me to rush after him. Running around the corner, I nearly trip over a pot that's lying on the floor. I barely manage to step around it without stubbing my toe. I didn't embarrass myself by falling over for once. As soon as I'm over the initial shock, I'm nearly overwhelmed by a horrid smell that has me on the edge of gagging, forcing me to cover my nose before I bring up whatever's in my stomach. The room looks just as messy as the living room and bedroom where there's pots and pans scattered across all the surfaces, some of which have fallen onto the floor. Dishes lay unwashed in the sink, stacking up to the point where they look like one single disturbance were tumbling them all to the floor. They're all covered in layers of mold and what I can only assume used to be food. All the cooking utensils look to be in the same condition. Leigh's investigating the windows to see if they're able to open, but it doesn't look like he's having much success. This place is disgusting. He doesn't immediately answer, attempting to get the window open a few more times before giving up with a grunt and turning to face me. Piece of shit didn't take care of himself. Isn't that a little harsh? Maybe they had to leave in a hurry. You don't leave this much of a mess in one meal, Wallace. But you're right. That's a little harsh. I'm sure they never truly got this bad. Huh? Don't worry about it. I think this room is a bust. I saw another room through that door. I think I saw a washing machine. I'm not quite sure how Leigh was able to see it from where he was standing. He must have taken a peek while I was lagging around. Wanting to get out of this room as fast as possible, I move over to the door on the opposite side of the room. I expect to hear Leigh walking behind me, but I don't hear any footsteps. Looking back at him, he's facing away from me while staring up at the ceiling. Following where his nose is pointing, I try to see what he's looking at, but it just looks the same as the rest of the decrepit house. His ears keep twitching, and I'm about to ask him what he's doing when I take another breath of this room scent and I have to hold back a gag. He'll catch up. I walk through into another room that looks much larger than it feels like it should be. This house doesn't seem expensive. Why is it so big? The question disappears from my mind when I notice something lay on the ground in the middle of the room, something I'd been expecting to see. Another piece of paper. It must be another entry to Helena's diary. Without a moment's hesitation, I grab the paper off the ground and start heading back to Leigh. I promise not to read these alone. After all, Leigh, I'm barely able to get a few words out before something grabs me from behind, wrapping a hand around my mouth and yanking me back roughly before I can do anything about it. Running on pure manic, I try my hardest to struggle, but the grip they have around my torso and my mouth is too strong as they pull me into the direction of the sink filled with dirty dishes. I'm not able to rotate my head on account of the hand holding it in place, but I can still use my eyes to dart around the room. I can't see any sign of Leigh anywhere. Where did he go? Whoever's holding me doesn't make a single sound as I feel him crouch down, forcing me down with him as he creeps into the now open cabinet underneath the sink. I'm met with a wave of that awful pungent smell that's even stronger here, sapping me of all my strength as my stomach starts to lurch. When I've been dragged fully inside, The hand around my torso reaches forward to quickly close the door. They're able to close it completely due to it being covered in little opened, similar to shutters, which allows all the smells of the room to flow in here, continuing to upset my stomach. As the arm pulls away, I'm able to get a good look at the arm of whoever is holding me captive, but it only leaves me more confused as it's very familiar. I've spent so much time with him at this point, it would be harder for me to not recognize Leigh's arm, but why is he kidnapping me like this? He's still holding my mouth closed. This only causes me to panic further, and I start to thrust in my arms, only to have him pull me tighter against him to the point where I can feel his breath in my ear. Shh, be quiet. I'm about to start struggling more when I hear it, and it clicks why he's acting so strange. It sounds barely audible, but I don't need my ears to feel the vibrations coming from the floors. It happens again, only this time it's stronger and closer. Now completely frozen in Leigh's arms, both of us holding our breaths as we listen to whatever was making it sound. That came from the living room. There's right next to us now. So they're right next to us now. I can feel Leigh's grip on me tightening. It's nearly painful just how hard he's pulling me against him. I'm not able to hold back a whimper, though, quickly causes him to let go of me. The relief I feel is instant, but it doesn't help with the fear gripping to. I'm not able to hold back a whimper, though quickly causes him to let go of me. The relief I feel is instant, but it doesn't help with the fear gripping my heart. Leigh's hands are trembling. Even he's not able to hide just how terrified he is. A chill runs through the two of us as all movement stops and the room grows deadly still. It's here. It trots throughout the entrance of the room. Its steps so powerful they cause all the distance to rattle above us. I push myself back into Leigh, who wraps his arms around me in a protective hug as if he's trying to curl himself around me. It's much more comfortable than painful this time, but I'm not able to enjoy it as I hear something that makes my blood run cold. A huff of air. Whatever's in here with us is so very close and is Whatever's in here with us is so close and is alive. There was a tiny part of me that hoped it was just a tremor, but that fantasy is crushed the moment a giant pillar slumps down in front of the cabinet. Through the shutter-like gaps in the door, I'm able to see what looks to be a mammal's leg, but it's unlike any species I've seen before. Its fur is wild and untamed, and the muscles look closer to a feral beast than a regular person. It isn't helped by the giant claws that could rip through my skin like a razor-sharp blade. I can hear whatever it is sniffing the air and press my arms against my side, praying that my muscular genes won't get us killed. But a retch from the creature brings a small sense of relief. It's not immune from the room's rotten smell. I pray it leaves soon, but it makes no motion to leave. It just stands there like it's waiting for us to make a sound. As long as we stay quiet, it should. The creature smashes the table, completely shattering the ledge as it crumbles to pieces. The whole room rumbles with the force, and I can feel tears at the edges of my eyes. But I can't afford to move my arms to wipe them away. I just have to deal with this sticking sensation. My heart's racing so hard in my chest that I can barely hear the creature rummaging through the debris. I wish I could close my eyes and block it out, but I'm frozen in fear. The angle we're at keeps us almost entirely in the dark. unable to make out anything the creature is doing. We only have sound to go off of. Until that stops as well. The whole room is plunged back into silence as the monster seems to find something in it finally takes a step away from us, allowing me to get a better look at the creature. Just as I dreaded, it's the same creature that we encountered at the hospital, as gigantic with monstrous proportions, as well as feral features closer to a wild beast. But there are still elements of humanity in it that makes bile bubble in my throat, despite crouching down on all fours. Is clearly primarily bipedal. And its head structure is like that of a some kind of rodent or something similar, but it's hard to make out beneath what looks to be a helmet that almost looks to be consuming its head. But that's when I see what it's bent down to inspect, and all the blood of my body turns to ice. Right beneath the monster is a piece of Helena's diary I had earlier. I must have dropped it when Leigh snatched me away. The creature brings its humongous head down to it as if it could read what was written on the page, but then I see what it's really doing. It's sniffing it, deep inhalations that remind me of an animal hunting its prey. I can feel Leigh stiffening behind me, finally awakening me from the trance I've been trapped in. He doesn't look to be doing much better than me. His body has curled so tightly around me it's hard to see much of myself, and his breathing is so heavy in ear that I'm surprised it hasn't heard us. But another retching noise from the monster as it spits out a vile green mucus onto the floor, the smell almost breaking the creature into another fit of rage. It clamps its fangs into the paper, holding it between its teeth as it makes a mad dash for the laundry room, breaking the door off the hinges in the process. Neither of us move as we listen to the rampage that takes place in the room next over. It sounds like it's tearing the room to shreds. It becomes hard to tell just how long we've been hiding here as chorus of destruction continues. Minutes become hard to differentiate from hours. After what feels like an eternity, everything stops. There's no more crashing, no more growling, no more stomping around. It's like time itself froze. Still we don't move. Who knows what it might be doing as we wait? It might be prowling, waiting for us to slip up and make a sound. But after waiting even longer, I finally get the courage to whisper. It's barely audible, but in this total silence, it might as well have been a thunderclap. Do you think it's gone? Leigh? Shh, let me listen. So I do, and we wait for what feels like another minute before he releases his grip on me, though that doesn't stop his tail from untangling itself from my leg. I hadn't even noticed it had done that. Alright, hurry, before it comes back. Huh? Out! His growl was barely audible, but the ferocity in it had me nearly as tense as a monster. Despite seemingly in the clear, Leigh still breathing heavily. It takes a minute of awkward simmering before I'm able to slide out of the cabinet, and Leigh looks to be struggling even more. I try to offer my hand, but he just waves me away with a grunt. I don't know if he's upset with me or just trying to be quiet. I'm left to bask in the state of the kitchen, now barely recognizable to how it had been just a short while ago. All the plates were shattered, and the table is now just a pile of splinters and cloth. Claw marks are scattered across the floor and countertops. They're deep enough to leave an indent thicker than my fingers. With how sharp those claws are, it wouldn't be a problem to rip through flesh and muscle. My eyes drift over to the door to allow a laundry room, barely hanging askew by one of its hinges. Just what did it do to that room? I take a step to investigate before Leigh grabs my arm, yanking me back and nearly and nearly causing me to trip on the debris surrounding us. What are you doing? I was just. We don't have time for this. We need to get out now. Come on. I'm not able. I'm not able to get another word out before he's dragging me behind him as we re-enter the living room. Shouldn't we go the other way? You should. You sure there would be a back door? I think there should be a back door. We're not following that motherfucker. We'll find another way. Where? He doesn't answer as he leads me to the stairs, not even bothering to check the other ways. He steps or hurried, but he slowly started to come down. He doesn't answer as he leads me to the stairs, not even bothering to check the other ways. His steps are hurried, but he slowly started to come down. There should be a window upstairs we could use. Wouldn't that be a bit drop? I'd rather you get a strained ankle than let you stay with that thing. Despite how fast we're moving, the stairs are still a hassle for Leigh as he struggles to keep his pace on his limping leg. He doesn't complain, but I can see the frustration on his face. It might be best to be quiet for now. He's right, after all. Even if this is just a dream, who knows what will happen if one of us gets hurt. As soon as we reach the second floor, it's like a sense of dread falls over me. I can't tell if Leigh falls, or if Leigh feels it too, but something about this place feels. Wow. He makes a motion to turn right before stopping, causing me to lightly bump into him. What's wrong? What the? I peek around at him to see where he's sitting, and I understand his confusion immediately. Instead of a corridor, like we were expecting, there are a pile of debris similar to the mess in the kitchen completely blocking his way. Do you think the monster came from this way? His only answer is a growl as he rolls around, not letting go of my wrist as he starts running down the opposite direction. I struggle to keep pace with him at first, but I don't need to before a noise causes the two of us to slow down. But it's something completely different from before, and very familiar. And since a deja vu runs through me as the sound of soft crying echoes through the halls, I know we've heard it in the hospital, but it feels like I've heard it again. Memories of my first dream in this house slowly drift back. They're still hazy, but I remember hearing this before, right before I woke up. Maybe this is a good sign, but why did I wake up last time? Leigh still hasn't moved, and I catch him looking behind us like he's considering going back the way we came. He looks to be weighing his options between the crying ahead or the monster behind us, though it's barely a decision as we continue forward, much slower this time. Despite how unnaturally long these hallways, deep for a house, it shouldn't be much longer before we find there he is. A very familiar door that neither of us looked surprised to see. Leigh speeds up, tugging me along. Leigh speeds up, tugging me along with even more vigor than he had when we were escaping the kitchen. But this time I plant my feet firmly on the ground and pull back, trying my hardest to keep him from moving on. We can't just leave them. What if the monster comes back? It's a dream. It isn't real. Shouldn't we check just in case? What if someone else is being dragged in here with us? They must be safer than we've been if they keep showing up. Let's go. No, we shouldn't just... Wallace, don't fight me on this. I'm trying to get you out of here before you get hurt. His tone is angry and hurt in a way that leaves me even more confused. I'm about to argue with him some more when I notice something. Underneath the door is a very familiar piece of paper, completely with damage fitting what happened to it earlier. I try to reach down and grab it before Leigh keeps trying to drag me away. Right, stop. Look, there's something on the floor. He finally relents as I reach down and pick up the page. It feels slimy, like it's been completely drenched in mucus, and I have to hold myself back from retching. It's a page, but how did it get here? Leigh? He isn't even looking at me anymore. He's staring down at where the page had been sitting. He looks horrified, and it only takes another glance to see why. I've been so distracted by the page I didn't even notice all the claw marks scratched into the wood. There's more here than the entire kitchen combined. Almost like it's our heads snapped to the other end of the hallway, where the debris had been sitting only for us to see a very intimidating figure standing in the dim light. I'm only able to get a glimpse of it standing there before Leigh's pulling me away, nearly ripping my arm from its socket. Less than a second later, a snarl rings out behind us, and the whole ground shakes as it chases after us. The crying from the closet escalates with it, as if whoever is in there is just horrified by the monsters we are. The shaking intensifies to the point where I'm barely able to keep myself upright with the help of Leigh. I can't tell if all this is just from how heavy the monster is or if there's a genuine earthquake, but we can't stay to find out. The halls in front of us seem to go on endlessly as we bolt as fast as we can. I don't look behind me, but I can hear the stomping getting closer with each passing moment. Doors appear on the walls surrounding us, but we don't slow down to open them. We can't afford to check if they're unlocked. My legs are about to give up when Leigh gasps. I'm barely able to focus with how hard I'm panting, but I'm able to see a door that looks slightly different from the rest. There's what looks to be numerous amounts of graffiti covering the door from top to bottom. I'm not able to read any of it before Leigh brings us to a halt. Why aren't we stopping? This is it. What is... He doesn't answer as he tries to open the door. Only to have it rattle in place, it doesn't even look to be locked. Just stuck. Come on, piece of shit. I always get stuck. There's no hesitation as he slams his shoulder into it, trying to force the door open, but that doesn't stop him from slamming into it over and over again. I take a look back where we came, but I don't see the monster yet, but I can hear it getting closer with each slam. It won't be much longer until it catches up to us. Not wanting to just stand around helplessly, I push myself against the door, as well trying to shove myself against it in time with Leigh. I'm barely able to put a fraction of the strength that Leigh is, but I can feel the door getting more loose with each slam. I think we're doing it. Don't stop. We're so caught up in trying to slam the door open that I didn't even notice the shaking had stopped, as well as the echoing stomps behind us. That's until a growl right behind us. That's until a growl right behind us brought a chill down my spine. I'm not able to react as Leigh wraps an arm around me and does one final charge, basically throwing both of our weight against it as the door flies open and we tumble through. The two of us fly into a brightly lit room, nearly crashing into something that lets out a small scream as it dives out of the way. Leigh shoves me behind him as he growls in the direction of whatever had been in our way. Only it isn't any kind of monster. It's just Lily who's looking at the two of us with a very confused look on her face. Then she breaks out in a large grin that drips with bad intentions. Did I come at a bad time? It looks like the two of you were having some exercise. The two of us look around in confusion before realizing that we were somehow back in Lily's house. Even behind us was the guest bedroom we had just been in a short while ago. Leigh looks more shocked than I've ever seen him, but I'm starting to understand what Lily's meaning. He's absolutely drenched in sweat to the point where his hair is dripping as it covers his face, and his outfit looks stuck to him in a way that's very flattering. I wouldn't be surprised if I looked to be in a similar state. I certainly feel like I've ran a marathon. I'm still out of breath and panting. Well, as much as I'd love to see the two of you go back at it, my dad's just arrived back home and I thought you should meet him. Everything is moving so fast as he starts to lead us back through her hallways. Neither of us say anything as we try to comprehend what exactly just happened. Lily keeps looking back at us, growing increasingly more concerned each time. Is everything alright? You both look like you saw a ghost. What's wrong? Leigh manages to get himself under control much faster than I am, but he's unable to hide just how gently he truly is. His shaking hands give him away. We're fine. You just caught us at a bad time. I bet I did. If you're nervous about my dad, don't worry, he won't mind. He's super chill. Just try to keep it down. He only nods, and that seems to placate her for now. He draws closer to me and leans down my ear. I flinch for a second, but I'm able to get my nerves under control. We'll talk about this later. Just try to calm down. You look like you're about to have a heart attack. Just breathe. By the time we're back at the living room, I'm able to get my breathing under control, but my heart is still racing in my chest. There's so much that just happened with no answers to any of it, but there's one thing we know for certain. We're safe for now. If I didn't know better, I have assumed Leigh was just having a regular day outside of some lingering sweat. He looked just fine, though his frequent glances in my direction shows an underlying weariness that he can't quite hide, at least from me. Lily looks to still be in the dark, if her knowing smirk is anything to go by. I just saw Dad pull in when I came and grab you guys. Don't worry, I won't miss what you two were doing. We weren't. I looked for Leigh with some confirmation, but he just shakes his head. Maybe he's thinking it's best that we stick to that as our story for now. Isn't that a little extreme? My thoughts are swiftly cut off from the front door opening and a figure much larger than I had been expecting walking in. With Lily being shorter than me, I expected her dad to be on the smaller side too, but he's much taller than I am. He might even be taller than Leigh. If I didn't already know it was his father, I wouldn't have assumed they were related at all, despite both being Shiba Inus. Their fur colors are completely different. His arms are two pieces larger than any I've ever seen before. I didn't even know you could get them that size, but it's easily twice the size of a normal pizza. He doesn't acknowledge us, or either of us, as he makes his way over to a dining table, placing the pizzas as well as a bag of groceries in his other hand onto the table before turning to face us. I expected him to give us some kind of greeting, but he just stares at the two of us. I can't help but straighten my back under his scrutiny, making sure I'm not moving a muscle out of place. My behavior must have been amusing because the thin-lined lips quirk up into a small smile and Lily starts giggling loudly. It's enough to make my ears flush. Glancing over at Leigh, I can see he looks as cool as a cucumber, as if we didn't just have what felt like the scariest teacher I've ever had staring us down. I didn't mean to scare you, but Lily hasn't brought anyone over for quite a while, and I had to make sure you two weren't going to cause any trouble. Jury's still out on that one. That causes the large canine to raise his eyebrows in our direction, and I frantically tried to wave away her assertions. No, we're not going to do anything bad, I swear. Don't worry, son. I don't think you could cause trouble if you wanted to. He places a massive hand on my shoulder when that could easily cause me a lot of pain if he wanted to. His body doesn't try to hide its strength in the slightest. But he isn't finished there as he walks up to Leigh, getting right up in his face as he starts to inspect him closely. This one, however, looks like he could cause a lot of trouble. No, Leigh would never. Don't worry, Dad, they're gay. I think, anyway, they're boyfriends. That completely changed her father's tone as all the tension seems to instantly disappear. He takes a step away and greets us with a much friendlier tone of voice. My mistake. I hope you won't take any responsibility. My mistake. I hope you won't take any of that personally. I just didn't want any of you having any bad intentions with my daughter. Yeah, geez, you're embarrassing me. Sorry, I promise I behaved, didn't I? I hope I didn't make either of you too uncomfortable. No, you're fine, Mr. Rose. Lily warned us about this. I just overreacted. You're a little intimidating. Leigh takes a step closer to me before wrapping her arm around my waist, gently pulling me against him. I'm starting to get used to this. No need to be so formal with me. Just call me Reuben. I'm assuming you two must be Wallace and Leigh. Lily talks about you all the time. Dad, you're not supposed to tell them that. She starts smacking his arms while muttering something under her breath, while he keeps apologizing to minimal effect. Now that he isn't glaring at us like we're criminals, no need to be so formal with me. Just call me Reuben. I'm assuming you two must be Wallace and Leigh. Lily talks about all of you quite a lot. Dad, you're not supposed to tell him that. She starts smacking his arms while muttering something under her breath, while he keeps apologizing to minimal effect. Now that he isn't glaring at us like we're criminals, I'm able to see him in an entirely different light. While he might be tall and it's clear that his body has been thoroughly disciplined with how firm he is, most of his features are actually pretty soft. Figuratively, there's a gentleness in his eyes that hadn't been there moments ago, and he maneuvers his body like he's actually being pushed around by his daughter, half his size. My eye lingers on the two noticeable accessories that hang off him, his dog tags and a carabiner on his hip, both of which have a small flower attached to both of them. It makes him look pretty adorable. I don't know how I had been so scared of him. Looking up at Leigh, he's just watching the two of them with a large smile on his face. I had expected him to be uncomfortable along with me, but he never lost his cool. Usually he's pretty subdued with his actions, or his reactions outside of some rare circumstances, but that's a pretty large grin for him. It's hard for me to now have one of my own, even after everything that had just happened. Sorry about that. Lily likes to forget who puts food on the table around here. Despite the pointed words, it's hard to take him seriously with how softly smile his face is. Lily doesn't look to either as he just blows a raspberry in his face. Maybe if you listen to me when I tell you stuff, I wouldn't have to get so mad. But embarrassing you is my right as a parent. It was in the contract and everything. Whatever, can we just eat? All right, you win. We don't want we don't want them getting cold anyway, do we? Come on, boys. We got more than enough here. Meal times is a refreshing time. Well, meal times is a refreshing back that nearly makes me completely forget about what just happened. I didn't think that Lily's dad would be the talkative type, but I can see that it's definitely his side that she gets from him. We, he spent the entire meal talking about work or asking the two of us questions neither of us were able to get a word if we weren't answering something. Then again, I think we were just along for the ride. Leigh didn't seem to mind at all, and Lily just looked giddy that we were there at all. By the time we all finished eating, there was still half of a pizza remaining, which Wilburn put into the fridge before vacating to the garage to give us some space. Lily immediately dragged us to her room to show us around some more. It had been overwhelming seeing the sheer amount of things she owned. I hadn't even seen that many posters in one place before. I haven't even seen. It was the size of the bedroom that my brother and I used to share when we were younger. Her bed puts all mine the same. We were all easily able to sit on it, despite the sofa also in the room. When Leigh tried to sit on it, she shut that down in a heartbeat, insisting that we all grouped together like a real sleepover. It was hard to stay mad at her, but I have to admit, I wasn't really in the mood for girl talk. Thankfully, Leigh must have noticed because he picks up my slack, being much more talkative than he usually is when we're in a group. He barely said a word at dinner. Not that I could blame him. Wallace, is everything Wallace, is everything alright? You've been awfully quiet tonight. Huh? Oh, sorry, I've just been a bit distracted. Is this about what happened earlier? I was just teasing. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. What? No, like I said, we weren't doing anything. I see Leigh shaking his head, reminding me that we were supposed to be using that as our cover story. But it's too late now. I might have been able to play it off as me being inside, but she's already looking concerned. What happened then? The two of you looked like you just ran a marathon. How will I even explain that she isn't even that far from the truth? I'm not sure why Leigh wants to keep it a secret, but he seems to think it's the right idea. I can ask him about it later. Still, that doesn't solve my problem with Lily's question. Maybe it's best if I just tell her the truth. Just not all of it. I had another nightmare. Leigh helped me out, but it didn't really go like either of us expected it. Oh, I'm so sorry. I've been so distracting with trying to make my sleepover happen. I kind of forgot why we were doing this in the first place. I should have been more attentive. No, it was my fault. I've been drowsy and out of it all day. I nearly fell asleep in class too. Have you been struggling to sleep lately? I don't think so. If I'm gonna be honest, my nights have been kind of blurry lately. Why are dreams always like that? I guess. I don't know. It just feels a little different this time. Do you want me to stay around? We could all sleep in here. My bed is definitely big enough. Leigh's ears twitched, giving his true feelings away beneath his composed stare, but I can feel his glare in my direction telling me to decline. No. No, I think I'll be okay. I kind of want it. I can feel my voice getting caught in my throat, and for a moment I can feel myself panicking under her gaze. It's filled with enough concern and curiosity that I feel awful deceiving her. I think he wants this to be one of our first nights together. Oh, well, now I was only teasing you two about before if. Oh, well, now I was only teasing you two about before, but if you really want to have some privacy, I'm sure I can work something out. Don't make this a bigger deal than it is. Don't make this a bigger deal than it is. What big deal? There's no big deal here. You two just want some privacy after all. I understand. Thanks for understanding. Don't worry. The guest room is pretty far from the other rooms. We won't be able to hear you guys, so have as much fun as you like. Will do. I'm starting to feel a little dizzy with all the blood rushing to my head. I don't know how Leigh's able to look so unfazed his ears aren't even flushed. Everything becomes a blur from there as Lily keeps giving teasing remarks while Leigh replies with a serious answer that only seems to fuel her further. By the time we're leaving, she's serving us out, so we'll go back to our room and spend time together. Neither of us say anything as we walk back to our room. At least I think we do. Everything's a blur at this point. I know we were just saying that to get her off of our tail. It's not hard for someone like me to not get flustered talking about that. The only reason I'm able to tell we've made it back to our room is because Leigh nudges me out of my trance. You do okay? You look like you're about to collapse. I'm just a little overwhelmed. That will do it? No, maybe a little. It's hard to think right now. Thoughts stuck in your head, huh? A little. Is that bad? It is bad. You want to fuck me? That's what's worrying you right now. You don't have to say it like that. Listen, kid. Fuck. Listen, Wallace. We've been over this. There's nothing weird about you finding me hot. You might be just testing the waters, but this is to be expected. If anything, this is slower than what I'm used to. Slower? I consciously to break eye contact with me as he seems to find everything where it's finding. I consciously to break eye contact with me as he seems to find everything besides me incredibly interesting all of a sudden. I haven't dated anyone before, but most of my encounters with guys tend to be sex before anything else. I hope I haven't been disappointing you. You couldn't if you tried, trust me. Is that something we should be talking about? Sex? Yeah, if you want to. Should we be, doing it? You're lucky your innocence makes you cute because sometimes it scares me. We can do it whenever you want. I'm always ready to go. I'm a little experienced with sex on the fly. I don't think I want anything that sudden. Maybe we should start slow if that's the right thing to do. There's no right thing to do. It's just what we want to do. How about this tonight? Well, tomorrow night we'll try something else. How about this? Tonight, how about this? Tomorrow night, we'll try something out. I have an idea, and we'll see how comfortable you are. Not tonight. I appreciate the excitement, but I will be honest. I'm pretty beat up after everything that happened today. All right, I totally forgot about that. How do you? Never mind. Sorry about. Sorry, a lot happened, and I've been a bit distracted. But that reminds me. Why did you want to keep it from Lily? Shouldn't we tell her? Listen, you saw her father, right? Do you want to tell him that something happened to his daughter because we involved her in this? No. When whatever happened to us happened. She was only 2 rooms away, but it didn't affect her. I prefer to avoid involving her for now. I'm not fucking sure what happened, but if we need her, I won't hesitate to include her, but I don't want any unneeded risk. What do you think is causing it? Leigh? Shit, okay. Are you sure you want me to tell you? Now you have me worried. What is it? I'm not entirely certain, but if I had to guess, I think it's you, huh? Every time something has happened, you've been involved in it. I'm not saying you did this on purpose or even that you caused it. But whatever is happening with these dreams, they seem to be targeting you. I'm not sure how I should take that. If we're being honest, there's not much we can do about it. It's not like we can just figure shit out like this. We'll look into it tomorrow. Right now, we need a rest. That was an exhausting experience for the both of us. You're right, I shouldn't let this control me. Not yet, anyway. Now, come on. There won't be anything sexual tonight, but that doesn't mean we can't cuddle. Thank you very much for reading the latest build of Violent Memoir. Nothing new was added to Leigh's route this update, but plenty got stuff into Lucas's route, including a CG and some sprites. Don't worry, Leigh fans, there will be a new build for him next, and you'll finally get what I'm sure plenty of you have been waiting for. If you have anything you want to report, please let me know, or please let me know on our posts or our Discord's feedback room. As usual, don't forget to follow our Twitter for updates and announcements. We have a Discord for Violent Memoir. Find a link to it on our Patreon, Twitter, Itch.io, or click right here. Thank you for playing, your patience, and your support. Alright, so we completed everything for Leigh so far. This will be another update for Leigh coming out soon, maybe this month or December. Alright, so I'm not gonna say much, but just now Leigh at the end there, he said that he said that Wallace was involved in all the dreams, which is obvious. Yeah. If you're reading this story, it's obvious that Wallace is involved in all of this, but it's Leigh, and the characters don't know that. But anyway, Leigh knows that something about Wallace has caused all these dreams to happen, because it's always been him who was involved. So I don't know if this supernatural force has something towards Wallace, or if it's using Wallace to attract someone else. Because, yeah, Wallace is involved in all of them, but it seems as though, like, when you pick a route, and when you pick a route like Oscar or Leigh, when you pick their routes, and when when Wallace has a dream, they're involved in it also. They're not in every dream, but they're involved in the majority of them. So perhaps maybe this supernatural force or entity is using Wallace to either get to Leigh. So I don't know. That may be the case. I think I saw something about earlier in the story in Leigh's route about, I think in the hospital. I guess it says something about this entity being dressed like a construction worker, and then Leigh later on in the route talked about his father being a construction worker. So maybe this entity is trying to get to, maybe it's trying to get to Leigh by using Wallace, since Leigh is in a relationship with Wallace. I don't know if that might somewhat be Leigh's father or what, but I don't know. If it's not Leigh's father, it's just imitating Leigh's father, then I don't know what this entity would want from Leigh or Wallace. But we'll have to figure out as we continue. So about Leigh, he's very caring. He's very caring. He's very mature for his age, and he had to grow up real quick. I mean, by the time he was a teenager, he was already providing for Charlie and trying to gain custody of her. So he had to grow up real quick. And while he does have this kind of like a bad boy image, or this kind of like it's kind of like a bad boy, this bad guy image mixed in with this kind of like this free, this kind of like this kind of like how guys, you got guys who are guys, but they kind of be all feminine or dress feminine and just don't care what others think. I mean, Leigh's kind of like a mixture of those two. That the bad guy type, and then a mixture of the feminine type who don't care what other thinks. I mean, to me, it's basically a mixture of both of those. And he's certainly somebody who does what he likes to do, and he doesn't really care about popular opinion. And he cares very much for Wallace. There's some things that frustrate him about Wallace, but he loves Wallace, or at least cares very much about Wallace. So I think Wallace, I think he kind of, like when they're having the dreams and they're trying to get out, I think he kind of talks too much, or at least, try to talk about the ifs and or hows, or what if this happens a little too much. I mean, kind of, I'm not entirely against that, but I think he should just let Leigh lead the way, for once. Maybe give one suggestion or two, but if you keep giving him multiple suggestions over and over and over again, you're gonna mess Leigh up. Just let him think of a way to get you two out of there. All right, so he's a person who will do the most he can for those he cares about, his sister and then Wallace. And despite his appearance, he's very much mature and hardworking, and doing what he has to do for those he cares about and himself. So That's what I like about him. That's my general view of Leigh. So it's gonna be long until a new Leigh boot come up. I think a new update for Leigh was put on Patreon on the story's Patreon account about a month ago or 20 days ago. As of November 12th, which is the day I'm recording this. So I think either later this month or sometime before the year is over, if there'll be a new Leigh route coming out, and we'll get to see more of Leigh's route and maybe get some more answers. But in the meantime, we're done with Leigh's route. So thank you all very much for watching. Goodbye.